would as in terms of, every week you want to advance. You saw a different challenge over the weekend. Did you feel like you advanced the way you would like to coming out of that? And getting the wins obviously is great, but getting the experiences is big for you, I know.
Yeah, I mean, from my vantage point, it met some expectations. I think we talked about last week that of the 6 games, these 2 were going to be the most challenging and expose us, and in some areas maybe the first 4 games didn't expose us. And for that, we saw that, especially in Saturday's game, that first 6 or 8 minutes, we were playing a little bit on our heels and weren't moving the puck the way we needed to. But and then both games actually dictated things that I wasn't expecting, and so that's why we play, because you never know what's going to happen. So both games seemed to go down the path of a lot of penalties, a lot of special teams both ways. But then I saw some really good things where you're down 5-on-3 going into the third period Sunday. The score's 3-0, but it can flip really quick. And so we got challenged, and how are we going to accept that challenge, going into the third period? And so what I saw there was really good, because there's going to be games as we go through the rest of the season that we're going to be challenged and things aren't going to go our way, and how are we going to respond? And I thought we responded really well. And then, there's parts of the game where I look at it and, I think a lot of coaches were perfectionists. So it's like in golf, I'm looking for the perfect 18 holes, knowing that I'm probably never going to get it, but along the way and down that path, you become better and you get closer to excellence. And so still being early in the season, you're looking for, more consistent, detailed parts of the game that will make us better and harder to play against. And so long-winded answer, but at the end of the day, we've got footage now. You've got game situations where we can show the players, and then we can go and practice today and work on those things, and the end result is hopefully we become better because of what we experience. And if we did that, then it was a good weekend. Obviously the outcomes of the games are the most important things, but even in games where you don't play well and you may end up losing, can I take things away from it and become better because of those situations? And that's how, as a coaching staff, we look at it, and then it's our ability to get the players to understand it and teach them and coach them so that the next game they're better in some areas.
As the schedule's a little different when you got a tournament set up, and I guess I'm just wondering what, the games are presumably the same, but what do you like maybe about, this kind of tournament setup that you got this week that, made you want to do it this year? I don't know if you've done this in at least the last couple of years. You haven't done anything like this, I don't think.
No, this is, first for us, so to me that's exciting. It's a little change. We haven't gone down this path before. You got 4 teams playing for a championship, and so it's a great way in the early part of the season to see how excited we can get to play in this setting. It's a brand new rink out there, and so I'm excited to see what that looks like, and opportunity in the first part of the season to play for a championship. So there's meanings, as they always are in a game, but this one's got a little bit more special meaning because teams are vying to get to the championship game, and then try to win it. So I get excited about that thing. We're not traveling somewhere playing a league game, beating each other up. We actually get to go out and play for something. At the end of the weekend, somebody's going to be really excited and happy because they've won something.
On Sunday, you had mentioned moving Lainey up in that power play unit was kind of part of a no-brainer because she's left-handed. I know in a lot of units you might want, where she had been playing in the other unit, she's in that shooter spot on kind of the opposite side of where you slotted her in on Sunday. Was there, kind of traditionally, some other teams might put a right-handed shooter in that spot, a left-handed shooter on the other side. Is there any thought to flipping Sims and Lainey there?
Nope.
Okay.
I mean, like Sims coming downhill with her on the puck on the outside, and then you might think about somebody over on that side for Laney in a right-handed position. So if I've got Ovechkin in the lineup, he's probably going to be standing there, and I can have KK or Sims feed it over there. So, you look at your personnel. Do we have a right-hander that, can one-time it like Layla can and get into a position where she might be able to do it? Or else you get Laney in position, downhill again. She's coming with the puck downhill, and, can she make that next play? So you sound like a coach, and I like that because we're always thinking about what that puzzle looks like. And so, here goes, Layla out of the puzzle, and like, who's that piece? And so you put her up there and see what it looks like. The hard part about last week was, we didn't have the personnel to practice with that first group on the power play. Now, today and tomorrow we'll have that personnel out there, and will we make adjustment? I don't know. We'll have to look at what, Vermont does on their penalty kill and what, we can do to create some scoring opportunities. But I like your thought process. I like that thought process. Right side, left side. It's like, sound like a coach.
Do you have any more info on Layla or what you're expecting, whether she'll?
Yeah, she'll be out. She'll be out for a little while here. We dodged some bullets in regards to, things could have probably been a lot worse, but not for a lot of our athletes, but a chunk of them. I remember KK when she got hurt. It was really the first time she sustained a serious injury in her career, and that's hard. Anything's hard the first time, especially when it's an injury involved. And for Layla, it's the same thing. The first time she's really been hurt, that she'll miss some games. So we got a great support staff. Steph does a great job. Our doctors are outstanding. So she'll be fine at the end of the day. She'll just miss some time for us.
Going back for a second to the tournament setting, you obviously play, other teams in tournament settings on back-to-back days, final face-off, but not necessarily one you're just not so familiar with without an extra day of time off. How does that affect your preparation going into the week and the weekend?
Well, you focus on day one and game one, and that's, the next couple of days we focus on Vermont and, look at some things and try to do some things that we can create some opportunities on. Very similar to style of what we saw in Maine and what we saw in Bemidji early in the season. So it won't be unfamiliar to us, but, again, you're just thinking about game one, and then similar to what we do in quarterfinal games and NCAA championships, it's a quick turnaround. And so again, when you get done with game one, and if you're lucky enough to win that game, then you look at game two and who you're going to play against, and then it's just 4, 5, 6, 8 bullet points that you focus on as the team prepares for that. And like I say, it's early in the season. It's more about what we do and becoming consistent in how we go about playing, and try to play 60 minutes the same way throughout the entire process of it. And if we're fortunate enough to win against Vermont, then we'll get ready for our game Saturday, depending on who we play.
After the game Sunday, you got that group from ice hockey in Harlem out there and skating around with them. Can you get into it, like how you got connected with them and what that was all about?
Yeah, Malik, the sort of the executive director of that group, he went through the program when he was younger, and it changed his life. When he was younger, he never envisioned getting a chance to play college hockey, but going through the program and getting exposed and obviously becoming good enough, he got a chance to play at the Division III level. And so a gentleman by the name of Todd Levy has been coming to our fantasy camp in Lake Placid with our Olympic team for a number of years, and he's on the board also. And Malik's been there the last couple of years, and so we've developed a friendship, and it's fascinating for me, especially because these kids, if these gentlemen and their board and that group, haven't been doing what they've been able to do for a long period of time. It's just remarkable how a group of people can get together and help kids, get a chance to play hockey that in your wildest dreams would never get an opportunity to do that. And so they've been doing it for a long time. And, you go back a lot of years and see how many kids that they've affected. It just puts a big smile on your face. And so, we had talked last spring and the early part of the summer of getting them out here and then getting them exposed. And so most of those kids that were here you know, if you dig down, you know, never been on an airplane, never stayed in a hotel. And now they get a chance to do that, and then they get a chance to experience 2 games here. You know, walk around Saturday afternoon and see some of the festivities that we saw with, you know, people tailgating and things like that for the football game. And so we were glad, you know, they were able to do it, but they had to raise money to come here. You know, raise money to get enough airplane tickets, get a hotel cost. You know, and then I talked to, you know, a reporter yesterday from out there that, you know, I think he either does for the NHL or does for Hockey News. He was part of the program a bunch of years ago, so he saw it firsthand. And so we had a long conversation, and, you know, at the end of the game, you know, we got their you know, they came in the locker room after the game with our players, and we celebrated our victory like we normally do. And they were part of that, so it was fun to see the smiles on their face. Then we got their equipment, and then about 45 minutes later, I went on the ice with them, and we got to skate around, and I put them through, you know, 15, 20, 25 minutes of drills and smiles. And it's interesting because as you travel to the rink, you probably jump in your car and get here, and it takes you 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. And getting to know them and their background, and, you know, their rink in Harlem got shut down during COVID, so now what do? Do you shut the program down? No, they figured out how to rent buses and bus these kids over into Long Island and different rinks in Manhattan to skate. And so you and I get to the rink a lot differently. So one of the girls was 10 years old, and she's got to get on the subway with her hockey bag and her sticks. So now if you're part of the subway and you're looking like, what's this? What are you doing? Where are you going? Going to hockey practice. Well, she gets off the subway, then she's got to get on a bus and sits on a bus for 45 minutes to get to the rink so she can practice. And another young lady's got to take a cab. So I get the cab, I put my equipment in the cab, put my stick in the cab, and, you know, and so it's just really refreshing to see people willing to not only raise money, but to create a program that can really be effective to kids' lives. And Malik's a classic example because he would have never gotten involved in probably a lot of things that he's doing right now. One, playing college hockey, 2, getting, you know, a degree from college and going on and doing really good things, and then now giving back. And so it was fun. It was just a little thing that hopefully impacted those kids. And when they got on their plane in Milwaukee yesterday morning, they were just like ecstatic. They were so excited. And as I got off their plane in LaGuardia yesterday, you know, they're walking around, you know, doing this. And so we got to touch their lives in a small way, but hopefully we had a big impact on them. And then for all of them to sit in our video room with Layla's sister, Shayla, their mom, and then talk to each other, you know. And then, you know, Layla and KK talking about how they got to Wisconsin and what their story's all about. But, you know, Layla and Shayla can really relate to them because we look alike. And so here's what I was able to do. Even though I lived in Cleveland, I was able to do this, and now I've been in a position here to play at Wisconsin. My sister graduated, got a degree. And so, you know, these girls that are listening to it, hey, one day, you know, not too far off in the distant future, we might be talking about one of them. It was a good day.
Let's do the last question. Kirsten's up to a little bit of it, you know, having a jump on offensively to start the year. What have you liked from her so far?
Who's that, Sims?
Yeah, Cindy.
I mean, she's really focused in. I mean, obviously with the Olympics coming up and her being, you know, part of that group right now, you know, her attention to detail, her focus, and probably the most important thing, the consistency and the way she's going about day to day. I mean, it's very consistent. Her practices have been good. Her energy's good. She just seems to be in a real good space. And I think, you know, obviously with some of the things that happened last year, especially late in the season, you know, she didn't take for granted. You know, she worked hard this summer. And that, you know, the elite athletes, if they want to, you know, play at the elite level, you know, they have to continue to push the bar. And I think she's been able to do that. And so as you know, I've watched her play the first 6 games, it's like, it's a really good start for her. And I don't even know how many goals and assists she has. I just like the way she's playing.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.